Since the dawn of medical history, physicians and researchers have sought ways to cure pain and suffering, to heal the ill, and to improve the quality of life for our families. Today, modern medicine provides us with a wide range of treatments, from antibiotics to blood transfusions, from dialysis to organ transplantation, from vaccinations to chemotherapy, bypass surgery, and joint replacement. In the past 25 years, more than 225 biotech drugs have targeted the most menacing and intractable diseases, including several forms of cancer, Alzheimer's disease, heart disease, diabetes, multiple sclerosis, AIDS, and arthritis. In the future, well, we look to biotechnology to help us tackle osteoporosis, psoriasis, lupus, stroke, HIV, sickle cell disease, drug-resistant tuberculosis, hepatitis, cystic fibrosis, and a long list of rare genetic diseases. Medical advances in biotechnology affect all members of our family, our mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, and children, and even our pets. Our animal counterparts are also at the height of medical research, benefiting from biotech-based products to treat heartworm, arthritis, parasites, allergies, and heart disease. According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, there are more than 100 licensed biotech products for animals, including veterinary vaccines, biologics, and diagnostic kits. The promise of medicine to reduce pain, eliminate disease, and improve the quality of life is also being achieved with our animal counterparts. Here to talk about the many benefits of biotechnology for both domestic as well as agricultural animals is Dr. Barbara Glenn. She is the director of BIO's Animal Biotechnology Department. Barb, thanks very much for being with us on Bio Live today. Can you tell me the scope of animal biotechnology? How big is this?
Well, animal biotechnology is the application of our tools of biotech to improve animal health as well as human health. Increasingly, animal biotechnology is being used to provide improved animal health products, to improve the nutritiousness of our food, as well as to conserve endangered species.
Wow. Barb, how do animals benefit from biotechnology today?
Biotechnology products are being used to treat heart disease, heartworm, allergies, and arthritis in animals. In fact, the market for biotech-derived animal health products is expected to exceed $5.1 billion this year.
One example that a lot of people are familiar with is like feline HIV and those kinds of medications for animals.
Exactly.
For companion animals.
There's a biotech-derived feline HIV vaccine, there's a rabies vaccine, and these are all being used to benefit animals and animal health.
How do consumers benefit from animal biotechnology?
Well, consumers benefit because, first of all, a healthy animal produces a healthier food. And we know that farmers and ranchers are the #1 stewards of animal care, and they utilize these products, these biotech-derived animal health products, to improve the lives of their agricultural animals on the farm. In addition, healthy pets make happy owners, and we have many biotech-derived vaccines and treatments for companion animals.
One that everyone is familiar with, I suppose, is the HIV vaccine for felines.
Yeah, that's correct. In addition, we have a rabies vaccine. We have other treatments for heart disease, arthritis, heartworm, many other diseases.
Barb, how are drugs and vaccines with biotechnology developed for animals? How is it different from older drugs and vaccines?
Well, first of all, I think biotechnology gives us the tools to find new mechanisms to treat these animals, new drugs, novel ways to address and treat these animals. We have a very strong research program, and then we have a very strong regulatory program that looks at the safety and the efficacy of these drugs and their use for animal health.
Let's talk about the research program first, and then we'll get into regulation. How are the animals specifically used in the research, in medical research?
Well, animals are a very valuable part of the research that's involved in animal health products. We need animals to be used and to find new treatments and new vaccines and new diagnostic tests for improving animal health. So they're utilized in the research themselves. And as a result of that, we can provide a superior product that actually addresses their unique needs and solves the problem.
And in that research, I presume that all the protocols are heavily regulated or looked after by federal and state agencies?
That's correct. The regulatory system is very strong for the development of biotech-derived vaccines and drugs, and it is administered by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. All of our companies are involved with the regulatory agency.
So those animals are protected to be treated humanely during the research process, is that right?
Yeah, all biotech animals are regulated under the Animal Welfare Act, and we believe, of course, as a principle, that there must be humane care and use of animals used in biotechnology research.
What do you think is coming in the relationship between animals, both domestic and agricultural, and biotechnology?
In the future, biotechnology is going to improve the quality of life and the health of these animals. Already we have improved breeding programs, and we're actually attacking hereditary diseases and beginning to be able to eliminate them. This is based on our improved knowledge on the animal genome. In addition, biotechnology may allow us to identify pets that have been lost or stolen. And even in the future, we may actually be able to have animals which are hypoallergenic, pets.
Be different from the original animals?
Biotech animals are the same as conventional animals. They eat, they drink, and they behave identically, and we know that they're healthy.
So you think the future of biotechnology in animals is pretty bright?
The future is extremely bright. We have the ability to improve animal health, and in doing so, we're going to improve our health.
Thank you very much for being with us on BioLive.
You're very welcome.
The health and well-being of all animals can benefit from biotechnology. Biotech vaccines and new diagnostic tests can contribute significantly to the health of companion animals and domesticated farm animals. Improved breeding programs enhanced by biotechnology can drastically improve herd health. Reproduction and breeding techniques influenced by biotechnology, such as in vitro fertilization, artificial insemination, genetic counseling, and cloning, have even been used to restore shrinking populations of endangered species. These advances in animal care have depended on animal research. In fact, animal research has played a vital role in virtually every major medical advance in the last century for both human as well as animal health. The essential need for animal research is not only recognized by companies and universities in the healthcare and biotech industries, but it's also supported by medical societies and health agencies around the world. The American Medical Association, the American College of Surgeons, the American College of Anesthesiologists, the Association of American Medical Colleges, the Association of Professors of Medicine, the American Veterinary Medical Association, and the American Association of Pharmaceutical Scientists all agree that testing and research in animal systems provides invaluable and irreplaceable insights into human systems. For compassionate as well as scientific reasons, researchers are deeply concerned about the condition of the animals they study. Scientists who use biotech animals place animal care as their top priority. The care and handling of these animals must be approved by an institutional animal care and use committee, as required by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. The USDA, or the National Institutes of Health, NIH, inspect research institutions to verify the well-being and care of biotech animals. To tell us more about how animals are used in biomedical research, we welcome Frankie Trawl, who is the president of the National Association for Biomedical Research. Frankie, welcome to BioLive.
Happy to be here.
Tell me about the benefits of animal research in biotechnology research today.
Virtually every major medical advance of the past century has depended upon laboratory animal research to a greater or lesser degree. And since biotechnology, I think, is the future, laboratory animals, particularly rodents, are playing an extremely important part in biotechnology's future.
What kind of animals are needed for biomedical research?
All species of animals have been used at one time or another, and what species is used is dictated by the type of research that's going on. Mm-hmm. For cardiovascular research, dogs have been incredibly important in the past. Cats have been important. Non-human primates still remain a very important animal model for some very serious diseases like hepatitis and AIDS. But in addition, rodents, particularly rats and mice specifically bred for research, have been very important, but are becoming increasingly important and biotechnology. About 95% of all laboratory animals used today are rodents, specifically bred for biomedical research and biotechnology.
There are many who oppose animal research, and their contention is that there are other alternatives, that there are computer models that can take the place of live animal in research, live animals in research.
Scientists are always seeking non-animal methodologies because computer models, mathematical models, tissue cultures, cell cultures are quicker. They're far less expensive because they don't require the very complex housing and feeding that animals do. And they do have a role as adjuncts to research and adjuncts to a whole living system known as an animal. But I don't believe, nor does the scientific community believe, that during our lifetime there will be a replacement for animals, because ultimately every new compound, every new procedure must be introduced in a whole living system before it can be introduced into the ultimate animal model, which is the human.
If animal research is so necessary, what federal or state agencies control that the animals are treated humanely and that the research is done appropriately?
Every research institution in this country that uses animals for research, unless they only use rats and mice, must adhere to the law and regulations of the Animal Welfare Act, which is administered at the U.S. Department of Agriculture. In addition, grantees from the NIH or from CDC or other public health service agencies must comply with the guidance for the care and use of laboratory animals. Everybody working with the FDA must comply with those good laboratory practices. And there are a number of other regulations that provide oversight to animal research.
Ultimately, it comes back down to the responsibility of the researcher, him or herself, that they must be responsible for the animal's welfare. How do they ensure that the research is done appropriately and properly, that it's not duplicative, that it meets the research protocols that must be met?
Well, researchers have a scientific obligation as well as a moral and ethical responsibility to care for the animals. The scientific obligation is that if their animals are stressed, then the data that is provided from those animals will not be reliable data. But in addition, there is lots of oversight within the institution, the Institutional Animal Care and Use Committee, which every company and institution has to have in place, and includes an attending veterinarian and an outside member representing the community's interests in animal welfare, are all present to review research protocols. They make site visits. Researchers are also subjected to unannounced site visits by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. So there are a lot of incentives for providing high-quality animal care. And I agree with you, they have a huge responsibility, because without public confidence in the system, then the privilege of using animals in research will be taken away.
Let's talk about possible benefits for the animals themselves. Are there any?
There are many advances in veterinary medicine that are a direct result, of course, of animal research. So specific products, if you will, that have been developed through animal research to help animals include all the vaccines that domesticated animals get, from distemper shots and rabies shots and parvovirus for domestic pets to
feline HIV and
feline HIV, feline leukemia.
right.
But in addition to, and now animals get insulin shots for diabetes when they develop diabetes. They get chemotherapy if they're cancer patients. There are new treatments for kidney disease. But in addition, farm animals have much better health care than they did because veterinarians have learned how to control herd diseases. Endangered species are beneficiaries of advancements in animal research, as we're learning more about how to preserve species through that research. Marine mammals are beneficiaries of animal research. But in addition, there are many advances that have been made in human health that are now going back to provide better care for people's pets, like joint replacements, like arthroscopic surgery, like chemotherapy, like hepatitis vaccines. I mean, there are a number of what we refer to as full circle medical advances, where it was animal research to help humans and is now helping animals.
Not to get too heavily into semantics, but let's take a look at two phrases and help us understand the differences between the two. One phrase is animal welfare, the other phrase is animal rights. What's the difference?
Well, scientists feel that they are obviously supporters of animal welfare, as do some within the animal community who recognize that animal research is necessary, but that it should only be done humanely and responsibly. Animal rights activists believe that no animal research should be done for any reason, even if it is to cure disease, whether it be animal disease or human disease. And animal rights activists tend to be abolitionists totally and completely, and unfortunately have been known to take matters into their own hands to stop what they consider to be immoral and unethical. So we have seen in this country many incidences of violence, many terrorist tactics. The FBI considers animal rights activists to be one of the major domestic terrorist threats in the U.S.
What's the worst incident that comes to mind in the last few years?
I think the worst recently has been the bomb that went off at Chiron Corporation. So there was the bomb that went off, and then there was another bomb that had been set to go off just when first responders arrived, and it was only for the quick wit of the law enforcement agency on site that nobody was seriously injured. But in addition to the bombs at Chiron, individuals, including the CEO, have been targeted by these activists who do not hesitate to harass, intimidate, and threaten at the home of employees of a given company, to follow children to school, to make the phone calls, "We know where your children are," to steal credit cards and make unauthorized charges, outrageous charges, to spray paint houses and cars. They're very, very unpleasant. They can be very, very dangerous, and biotechnology companies need to be up to speed on what the potential threat is and how to protect themselves, their employees, and their animals.
Let's talk about those biotech companies for a minute, because most of the people who watch this program are either actively engaged in biotech companies right now, either in direct research for new drug products or biotech products, or they're pure research in academic institutions. What should they do? What resources are available to them to try to mitigate these threats?
Well, there are many resources available to them. The National Association for Biomedical Research has a crisis management manual available to its members, which goes through a risk assessment checklist. And every company that is involved in animal research or testing has responsibility, as I said, to its own business to ensure that they are prepared and that they have contingency plans if for some reason they are attacked. The internet has made animal rights activism and illegal activities much easier to do on a far smaller budget than it did for them in the old days. So frankly, nobody is safe from animal rights mischief. In addition, I encourage biotechnology companies to talk to their local law enforcement and let them know what they're doing at the company, and to make sure that they have an understanding of their physical plant, so that if there's a fire, law enforcement and the fire department know how to get there quickly, and how to protect the company.
Can your association and its resources help them do risk assessment of their particular facility?
It can. We have been through Unfortunately, we've been through major illegal incidences many times. So I wouldn't suggest to you that we've seen it all, but we've seen a lot, and our members have learned a lot from other companies' experiences, and I think it behooves biotechnology companies, obviously, to seek out all the help they can in advance so that if there is trouble, they know how to address it quickly and effectively.
Frankie Trell, thank you so much for being with us on BioLive today. Frankie Trell is the president of the National Association for Biomedical Research, and that website is www.nabr.org.
You got it.
As we've learned today, many animal activists seek to end all research involving lab animals, choosing to reject its well-established validity and usefulness. In recent years, animal activist groups have resorted to terrorist activities, such as vandalism, theft, physical assault to individuals and property, and even death threats and warnings to researchers and their family members. Given the increasingly violent nature of the activist activities, the Federal Bureau of Investigation now considers many of these groups domestic terrorist threats. In response to the more violent activist activities, the United States has passed several pieces of legislation to protect biomedical research. And at least 36 states have adopted laws specifically addressing crimes committed by animal terrorists. The ability to conduct humane and responsible animal-based research must be preserved to help conquer disease, alleviate suffering, and improve the quality of life for humans, companion animals, and livestock. Research involving animals has been critical to understanding the fundamental processes of human biology that are so integral to modern medicine. Virtually every major medical advance of the last century has depended upon research. With that,